He said, pray as you see me pray. Utter these words that you hear me say. Based on the Sunnah, worship Him, just follow them.
Assalamu alaikum. New class coming to you every Monday and Wednesdays, taught by Ustad Layla Nashiba, the fiqh of prayer. Every Monday and Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Inshallah, we'll see you there. Streaming on all major platforms. Channel Sunnahfollowers.
Ina alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam ala wa rasulullah. I want to welcome everybody to our series of classes on how to perform the prayer the way that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us to perform it. And today what we're going to do is go over the rules in regards to wiping over the socks and wiping over the shoes. And I want you guys to remember, we talked about how, yes, to answer this question that, one of the new shahadas sent me is, can I pray in my shoes? Yes, you can pray in your shoes. That's what the Prophet used to do. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Remember, they lived in the desert. They didn't have carpet. They had sand, and the sand becomes very hot. So yes, they prayed in their shoes all the time. So yes, you can pray in your shoes. You can pray with your socks on and all of that. And we're going to go over the rules in regards to that. So let's put the PowerPoint up on the screen. And remember to take screenshots as you need, because I'll have all the hadiths here to back up everything that I'm saying as usual. Wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, this is it. You guys should be able to see. So, a lot of people ask this question. In fact, this question came up last week. Do I have to make wudu before I take a bath? The answer is no, you don't have to. It's not an obligation. But what the people base this on is this hadith here. Remember, our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to teach good manners. And he knew that cleanliness makes you closer to godliness. So the Prophet he was a very particular about his looks, about his cleanliness, his smells. And he liked to be in a state of purity, especially when talking to his Lord, even though he didn't have to. So we have this hadith from Aisha, radiyallahu anha, where she says that whenever the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam performed post-sex or ghusl, he would begin by washing his hands, and then he poured water from his right hand to his left and wash his private parts, and then he'd make wudu. And then he'd wash the right side of his body, and then he'd wash the left side of his body, and then he'd rinse himself off with water 3 times. So, this is how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam bathed. But did he say that this is the procedure that we have to use? No. If you simply stand in the shower and let the water run from your head all over the rest of your body, covering every part of your body, your skin, that's a ghusl. But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to perform his this way. He would begin, by washing his hands, and then he'd wash his private parts, and then he'd make wudu. But he never said that that's what you and I have to do in order for a bath to be complete. Does everybody understand that? So to answer the question, do I have to make wudu before I take a bath? No. Do I have to make wudu before I wash myself up? No. Do I have to even follow this procedure? No. But this is something that this is the way our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam chose to bathe. And then that brings us to another question that one of the brothers asked. What about this hadith here? We have this authentic hadith where one of the companions said that he walked by Abu Hurairah while Abu Hurairah was making wudu. And Abu Hurairah asked him, he said, do you know why I'm making wudu? He said, I'm making wudu because I just ate some yogurt that was over the fire. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us to make wudu whenever you eat food that's been touched by fire. This hadith is authentic, and you'll find this hadith in Sahih Muslim. But one of the things that I tell you guys a lot, you know, some of the hadiths in Sahih Muslim have been canceled out. Even though they're authentic, they've been canceled out. In other words, the Prophet gave this command in the beginning, but then something happened and he canceled it. Okay, so yes, this was true in the beginning of Islam, that whenever they ate something that the fire had touched, they would make wudu. But this was canceled out later. That's why I tell you guys, you have to know the science of the hadith. You have to know the hadiths. Because even though a hadith is authentic, it can be canceled. It can be abrogated. We talked about abrogation in our Quran class. Abrogated verses. This is an example of an abrogated verse. Also, you have this hadith, which is also Sahih Muslim too. Aisha radiallahu anha said that the Prophet said, make wudu from whatever touches the fire. And again, all these hadiths are authentic. Okay, but they were abrogated. Where's the dalil? Where's my proof that these are abrogated? Well, here's another hadith. This hadith, one of the companions said, I saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam cutting a piece of a sheep's shoulder and eating it. He was then called to perform the prayer. So he put his knife down and he prayed, and he did not make another wudu. This hadith is also in Sahih Muslim and also in Bukhari. This hadith is the proof that the previous two hadiths are abrogated. So this is why I tell you guys, be careful when you're telling other Muslims that they can't do something or that they have to do something. Make sure that your information is correct. I had a sister, every summer I go through this. I had about 3 or 4 sisters ask me here in the website, they barbecued. Sister Layla, I was barbecuing some hot dogs and hamburgers for the kids. I was grilling. I was also grilling some ribs for the kids. And my husband told us that we had to make wudu. She said, my husband told us that we had to make wudu before we pray, even though we didn't break wudu. And he said, because of this, and he gave these 2 hadiths from Sahih Muslim, where the Prophet said, anything that touches, whenever food touches the fire, you have to make wudu. And I had to tell her, well, let your husband know that those are hadiths that were abrogated. And that's the thing with Imam Muslim. He added in his collection hadiths that were abrogated, whereas his teacher, Imam Bukhari, did not. That's another reason why Imam Bukhari's collection is the most authentic on this planet after the Quran, because Imam Bukhari didn't include in his collection the abrogated hadiths. And this hadith I just read to you is from Bukhari and Muslim. So you do not, to answer the question, and here's my dalil, and I've given you the explanation, you do not, I repeat, you do not have to make wudu because you were grilling some food. Okay, what about this? Do I have to make a new, fresh wudu every time I pray? This is a question that comes up too. And a lot of people, this is why we cannot teach ourselves the religion. You have to learn from a person of knowledge. Because if you don't know the science of the hadith, if you don't know what's abrogated and what isn't, if you don't know the whole history, the whole story, then you can be totally confused or not understanding something. A lot of people read this authentic hadith, also from Sahih Muslim, whereas Buraidah, may Allah be pleased with him, said the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made wudu for every prayer. But on the day of the conquest of Mecca, he made wudu and wiped over his socks and prayed a number of times with just one wudu. And he was asked, you did something that you've never done before. And the prophet said, yes, I did it on purpose, Umar. Why? To show you that you don't have to make wudu every time you pray unless you've broken it. And why? Because the prophet wanted to make sure that the people understood, the lawful and the unlawful, the cans and cannot. Remember, the prophet died not too long after this. Okay. He says, so I did this to let you guys know that you don't have to have a wudu unless you broke it. And the people thought that otherwise because of this hadith narrated by Anas. He said the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to make wudu for every prayer. And he was asked, what did you people, you companions, used to do? Okay, Anas says, even though the Prophet made wudu for every prayer, we prayed the prayers with just one wudu, unless we broke it. So you have to know these hadiths. This is a Bukhari hadith. Okay, you read Sahih Muslim or you read any hadith book and you don't know what's abrogated, what isn't. You have no understanding of the rules, of the laws, of the history, of the who, what, where, when, why. You have no understanding of the analogy, the linguistics, and all of that. You can walk away misinterpreting your religion. Everybody understand that? So you do not, that's the answer to the question. And there's my dalil. You do not have to make a fresh wudu every time you pray unless you broke it. Now, there is another hadith out there that one of the brothers sent me that said something like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said something about all these black. That hadith that the brother you sent me was not authentic. So that's why I didn't even put it here. But what is authentic is this hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if it were not a hardship on the people, I would have commanded them to make wudu for every prayer. Okay, but the Prophet didn't command that. He liked to make wudu for every prayer because that's how he was. He was better than us. Okay, but it's a hardship. So we don't have to. So I want you brothers and sisters to be careful when you're reading these hadiths. You have to know what's authentic, what isn't. You have to know what's been abrogated and what hasn't. Otherwise, you're misinforming people. Okay? That's why the Prophet said, ask the people knowledge. And you can't teach yourself this deen. You have to learn from the people who do understand it. And also there's some other notes about wudu. It is permissible. This is a question that one of the new shahadas asked me. It is permissible to talk when making wudu. There is nothing, I repeat, there is nothing reported. There is no hadith from the Sunnah that says you cannot talk when you're making wudu. So again, I don't know where that comes from. Maybe it's a Shiite thing, because like I said, the Shiites have their own religion that they follow, you know, and I don't know where it comes from, but there is nothing in Islam that says when I'm making wudu, I cannot talk. I don't know where it came from. Whoever told you that, tell them to bring the evidence. Also, making supplications while you're washing the body parts. That's not authentic either. I keep telling you guys, the problem with Abu Dawood's collection, Tirmidhi, especially Mishkat, those other hadith collections, guys, for Abu Dawood and Tirmidhi, 30% of the hadiths in those books are not even authentic. Mishkat, they say, has even more hadiths that are not authentic. So you guys have to be careful when you're reading any hadith books other than Bukhari and Muslim. Any books other than Bukhari and Muslim, you're going to have to be doubly careful, because these hadiths that you brothers showed me where this person said you should say this, none of that stuff is authentic. Okay, there's none of that is authentic. The prophet didn't say we have to recite specific supplications when we're washing different body parts. That sounds to me like some Sufism. I don't know where it came from, but we don't deal with things that are not authentic here. Okay. Also, if the person who is making wudu has doubt as to how many times you washed whatever body part, then just go by whatever you think. Because remember, you can wash each part of the body either once, twice, or 3 times, but not more than 3. But if you forgot, Allah is not going to hold you accountable. If you did it more than 3 times because you couldn't think or didn't remember, Allah is not going to hold you accountable for that. And also, the point of making wudu is whatever body part you are washing. That's why we say rub the water. You want to make sure that you cover that entire body part with water. If I'm going to do my arms, I'm going to rub the water up and down my arm to make sure I cover the entire body part. If you have something on it that's going to prevent the water from penetrating, you have to take it off. For example, if you got wax on or tar on, try to take the tar or take the wax off. And just to let you brothers know, because I get sick of hearing this, and this is not true. You sound crazy. Only a man would come up with something ridiculous like this. And I say only a man because you brothers don't know anything about a woman. Makeup. I repeat, makeup. I repeat, makeup is water soluble. Even I don't wear foundation, but even if a woman wore foundation, it is water soluble. It's going to wash off when she makes wudu. If makeup were not water soluble, we wouldn't be able to wear it, because you know what? You won't have a face. If makeup was made out of acid and chemicals, you know, the face is the most sensitive part of the human body. Okay? If you put something that's detriment on your face is going to fall off. It's going to burn off. So I want you brothers to stop telling women that they can't wear makeup because it prevents them from wudu. This is ignorance. When you brothers say that, you make yourselves look really stupid and foolish. And this is something we're tired of it. I mean, me personally, I have no patience for ignorant people. I mean, you brothers are going to have to get educated. You know, just because you hate something, you have no right to make something haram. Because you don't understand something, you have no right Because when we assume things, it makes a donkey out of us. And a lot of you brothers look like donkeys. Even some of you with those PhDs. I had to check one recently. All the PhDs, and you don't know that makeup is water soluble? How dare you tell women something like that? Are you insane? I wouldn't have a face. My face would fall off if there were acid and stuff in it. You brothers, get it together. Stop making stuff haram because you don't understand. Just say, I don't understand it, and keep it moving. Okay? All right. I had to mention that because that is the most ludicrous stuff. And women get sick of that. You know, the prophet said that we Muslims don't have the intelligence that the Christians have. And I tell you, Allah speaks the truth. The prophet speaks the truth, because you see more and more ignorance from Muslims, and it just makes you just sad. So if there's a barrier that prevents the water from covering that body part, then of course that body part hasn't been washed. So that's why you make sure you rub the water. Okay, wax. Now wax is something different. Ain't no water gonna penetrate wax. It bounces off. Okay, tar, that's something else. You better clean that crap off. Okay, but makeup has nothing to do with that. Okay, henna is a makeup. Kohol is a makeup. Tint is a makeup. Foundation is a makeup. Mascara is a makeup. Okay, eyeliner, eyeshadow, all that stuff, those are makeups, and they're all water soluble. They wash right off. I mean, come on, brothers, let's can that. And be careful about fingernail polish, because guess what? Thanks to the Muslims, fingernail polish is water soluble too. So stop telling Muslim women that their wudu is not accepted, because you don't know. She's probably wearing fingernail polish that was invented by the Muslims, and it is water soluble. It washes off and water penetrates it. Okay? That's just something for you guys to think about. Also, what if you are a person who has incontinency problems? Some men have it, and women too, where they have a hard time holding their bladder. You jump up and down a little bit, squirts out. Okay? If you have incontinence problems, then you need to make a fresh wudu every time before you pray. But if it's time to pray, just go make a fresh wudu and don't worry about it. If you're making salat and you bend over and a little bit of urine comes out, your prayer is still accepted. Everybody understand that? We're not even going to talk about prolonged flows of blood, because that doesn't apply to you women. A lot of you women are preying on your periods, and y'all better stop it, because you don't know what a prolonged flow of blood is. Okay? Ain't none of you sisters suffering with that type of closeness to Allah like the prophet's wife Zainab had. So forget that. If you women are bleeding on your menses, you do not pray at all, period, dot. Because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said a woman's menses is determined by the color of the blood, not by the amount of days in which she bleeds. The Prophet said, if what's coming out of you is red, brown, black, yellow, pink, then you do not pray. So none of you sisters should be making salat, period, if you got stuff coming out of you, the blood coming out of you. Okay, but if a person is suffering with incontinence, that could also be irritable bowel syndrome. If you got it that bad, you make a wudu. okay, before you pray. And even if something squirts out, your prayer is still accepted. Okay. And also another thing about the wudu, if you cannot make wudu because you're sick, you know, a person can make wudu for you. They can help you to make wudu. And also you can use a towel. This is another misconception. One of the new Shahada texted me the other day. She said that the imam in her community told her that when she makes wudu, do not dry the water off. Because if she dries the water off, she's losing the blessings. Welcome to the world of the Sufis again. Okay, there's no hadith on planet Earth that says that. If you want to use a towel to dry yourself off, you can. Okay, so those are some of the notes that I wanted to add from the questions you guys have asked about the wudu. And so now we're going to talk about the wiping over socks. And let me start it off by informing you what a sock is. A sock does not have to be made of leather. The sock does not have to go up to the ankle. None of that stuff. That's all fanaticism. A sock is anything that's covering your foot. Okay? And let's talk about it. You can wipe over the sock. This is a sunnah. As Imam Nawawi said, all those who qualify as scholars agree that it is allowed to wipe over the socks, whether you are traveling or even if you're at home. Even a woman who's not going anywhere or a handicapped person who can't walk can wipe over the socks. And that's something I tell you sisters all the time. It goes for the head too. A lot of you sisters, get your hair done. All you have to do is wipe over your head one time within 24 hours and then put your scarf on. If it's time for salat, you can put a cap on, like the little cap I have here, and do wudu over that cap for the rest of your prayers. The same with the sock. Okay? We have this hadith. This is from Ibn Hajar. He said all of the preservers of hadith are of the opinion that wiping over the socks has come through a continuous train of transmission. Some have collected all of the narrations from the companions, and the number exceeds over 80. So there's your dalil. And of course, the people that narrated were those who were promised paradise. So wiping over the socks can be done if you're at home, if you're traveling, and all of that. And we have this strong hadith from Bukhari and Muslim. Ibn Abdullah urinated and he performed ablution, wiped over his socks. And it was said to him, you do that after you've urinated? He said, yes, I saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam urinate and then just wipe over the top of his sock. Okay? And again, when we're making wudu over the sock or the shoe, you just do the top. I don't have to spread the water. I don't have to rub my hand over the entire sock like I do the foot. Just the top, just one wipe, one swipe. I'm going to wet my hand, shake the water off, and then whoop, over the top like this. That's it. One swipe. Okay. Oh, what happened? I hit the wrong button. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, guys. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I have to. Wait, give me a second here. I don't know what happened. I get mixed up on these. I got so many computers, I forget which mouse I got. Okay, here we go. And the same thing is done for the shoes or your slippers. Y'all see this? This is a pair of house shoes. You can wipe over the top of them. Wiping over sandals was done by Ali, radiyallahu anha, Ibn Masud, Anas, Abu Umayma, Sahal ibn Sa'd, Amir ibn Harith. Also Umar, Ibn Abbas, Bilal, Abu Afi, Ibn Umar, they all have hadiths on this subject. It is allowed to wipe over them as long as the shoes completely cover the foot. Completely cover the foot. Completely cover the foot. And that's the same with the sock. The sock has to cover the foot, guys. Cover the foot. Okay? Closed toe, in other words, closed toe shoes. Not sandals that's open, not the open toe sandals. They have to be closed toe sandals like this one here. Well, that's the wrong picture. I thought I had a better picture than that. But the closed toe, that's a clog-like style. Closed toe sandals. Okay? We have this hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made wudu, wiped over his socks and his slippers. Okay? As it is permissible to wipe over the socks, it's also permissible to wipe over any foot covering. So say, for example, you had a cast on your foot. Say there's a cast on your foot. You can wipe over the top of the cast. Okay? I got boots on. I can wipe the top of my boot. Okay? Anything that covers the foot. Even if there's holes in the socks. Even if the socks has holes in them. Okay, a lot of sisters ask me about stockings. Stockings are just like socks. They cover the foot. As long as your pantyhose or as long as your stocking covers your foot, you wipe over the top of it. Just swipe your hand over the top of it. Does everybody understand that? And this is all the dalil on that. Also, we have this hadith. The slippers of the companions were not free of cuts or holes, like the slippers of the people. If this were a matter of concern, it would have been mentioned. The companions had holes in their socks, holes in their shoes too. But there's no mention. As long as it covers the foot, you can wipe over it. And now, these are the rules of it. Number one, before you qualify to wipe over the sock or over the shoe, you have to have made wudu over your foot the normal way, at least once before that. Is that clear? I'm trying to break this down in plain English. So, for example, this is what I do in the wintertime. In the wintertime, I wear house shoes. I wear my slippers or my socks to keep my feet warm. Just like I'll, whatever. So when I get up for Fajr, I'll make wudu over my foot the regular way. I'll also make wudu over my head the regular way. But then for the rest of the day, I'm going to put on my socks and make wudu over the top of my socks. And I'm going to make wudu over my hijab. I usually have my hijab on because I'm on the internet teaching. So I'll just do the wiping over my hijab for the rest of the day. You see how easy the religion is. And that'll help you sisters keep your hair looking nice. Wrap your hair up when it's time to make a wudu. Wipe over the top as long as you've made wudu over your head at least once before that. This is based on this hadith. One of the companions says, I was with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam during an expedition, and I poured water for him to make wudu. He washed his face and arms and wiped his head. Then I went to remove his socks, and he said, leave them on, as I put them on while I was in a state of purity, and I'm just going to wipe over them now. So there it is. Okay. We have another hadith where another companion said, we asked, O Prophet of Allah, can we wipe over our socks? He said, yes, if you put them on while you were in a state of purity. In other words, as long as you made wudu over your foot, at least once before then, you were in a state of wudu. After that fajr, I'm putting on my socks. After that fajr, here comes the cap. All right. And again, the stipulations by the jurists that socks must completely cover the foot to the ankle. This is not authentic. So you guys have come upon those extreme Salafis out there who will tell you have to have cuffs on. They got to be leather. They have to come up to your ankle. They got to be this. None of that stuff's authentic. None of that. Just regular socks. A sock is anything that covers the foot. A stocking, a sock, a pantyhose, the things that the hospital give you to put over your feet, those are all socks. And again, the place that we do the wiping is the top. One of the companions said, I saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wipe over the top of his sock. And Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, said, if our religion were based on opinion, then we would do the bottom of the sock. But we don't. It's just the top of the sock or the top of the shoe. Everybody understand? And all you have to do is wipe. You don't have to run water over your foot, over the sock or the shoe. Just wipe the top. Don't worry about the bottom. Because we have a hadith, whereas the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the earth purifies whatever crosses over it. So you don't have to worry about the bottom of the foot. And again, what's the time limit? If you are at home like me and you, then we can do, and you have 24 hours. I can go from Fajr to Fajr. That's what I usually do. If I'm going to do wiping, I know that every Fajr I'm taking them socks off and making a wudu over my foot. Every Fajr I'm taking off my hijab or my cap to make sure I wipe over my head. You have 24 hours if you are not traveling. If you are traveling, 3 days. You can go 3 days before you of wiping before you have to take it off and do the actual body part. And that's based on this hadith here. Saeed Safwan ibn Asil, he said, we were ordered by the Prophet to wipe the socks if we were in a state of purity, and when we put them on for 3 days if we were travelers, and for 1 day and a night if we were residents. We did not remove them unless we were in post-sexual impurity. Okay. Another hadith, one of the companions said, I asked Aisha about wiping over socks. She said, for the traveler. And by the way, this is a man who asked her. Shura ibn Hani. So this is a more dalil to show that there's nothing wrong with a man asking a woman a question about something in Islam. There's nothing wrong with women teaching men. Aisha taught men. She taught him this. He asked Aisha about wiping over socks, and she said, for the traveler, 3 days and 3 nights. For the resident, 1 day and 1 night. These hadiths are all authentic. Sahih Muslim is mentioned here. Let's see, do I have another one? And then we're going to end today with what invalidates the wiping. Well, the following things invalidate the wiping. Number 1, after the time limit has gone. If you're at home, 24 hours is all you got. If you a traveler, 3 days. Another thing that invalidates the wiping is post-sex impurity. Also, if you remove the socks or it occurs while the person was in a state of purity, you need to only wash your feet. So those are the things that invalidate. In other words, you have to have had wudu on your foot at least once before you put them socks on. Does everybody understand? This is clear. Okay, so that's all we have to say about the wiping of the socks and the shoes.